Well, after my Only God Forgives review, I thought I'd do another one of his movies that, well, actually, the only other movie of his that I've ever seen, and that is Drive. Now, Drive, the first time I saw this movie, was a very odd movie. It was a different taste. It was something I had actually never seen before, which was good, but it just felt really weird for me. Then I kind of watched it a few more times just to kind of understand the whole thing of it, and honestly, as I watched it more and more, I start to love the movie more and more. It's a fantastic movie. It's just the director, Nicholas Winding Refn, he makes some very strange and unique movies. There's another one before Drive that honestly I've never heard of before. So there's that movie. I saw a clip on it. I forgot what it was called. It just looks so strange and unique and different. And all these movies are very unique and different, but they do it in such a unique style. Like the way the cinematography moves, the way they tell the story, the fact that how they capture it, how the lighting and all that. It's really all about, with these types of movies, like I said before in my Only God Forgives review, is, the feel of it, like the cinematography and the lighting, like basically just the setting, so to say. The setting just makes it feel so unique and just so, it gets you intrigued. It gets me intrigued anyway. It's just very interesting to look at a movie like that. Drive was definitely a movie that, like I said before, it kind of took me a while, just to kind of really like this movie. But as I watched it more and more, I start to love it more and more. And I loved that I found, I understood, how the story was made. It's just, and really in the end, I really, really, really liked this movie. Now, I knew people, well, let me just say this. I saw this Chris Stuckman video review called Drive Analyze. If you haven't seen it, you can click right there. And he basically goes over why, because he said that while critics said it was one of the best movies of 2011, audiences were, or as I like to quote him, largely perplexed. Which means they probably didn't like the movie because apparently there wasn't enough action sequences in this movie. And I do have to agree with Chris Stuckman with this review, how he's saying that people were led by false advertising, which is true. It's not just a strong, violent movie. It's really like a poetic story. I don't know how you say it, but it's really like that. It just tells such a beautiful story in such a way that only Nicholas Winding Refn can do. And honestly, it's something that I've never seen out of any other director. And it's very interesting to watch. And as far as the story goes, Ryan Gosling, he's just a great guy for this role. He doesn't even have to say anything, but you can tell by his emotions and the way he acts. And that really just tells a lot about his character. The fact that he doesn't have to say much yet, he just has to show his outward appearance for you to just to understand his expression and what's going on and what he's dealing with and all that. And he's a great guy for that. He really does well with that aspect. And I love the relationship between him and Benicio and the one wife, I forgot her name just then. Or Irene or something like that. Yeah, Irene, played by Carey Mulligan. Who's a great actress. And I really like the kid in this movie, Benicio. He was just a fun little kid that you can see in a movie. And then also you have these two villains, whatever, Albert Brooks and Ron Perlman. They were great as villains. So the fact that what was weird, because I never noticed this, but when I saw the Drive Analyze video, how he said Albert Brooks shaved his eyebrows to look as unemotional or something like that as possible. Basically show no emotion. And I thought that was very odd, and I never really noticed that at first. I mean, I don't really pay so much to detail, but it was odd, and it was very interesting. And the fact that in this movie, these characters, they don't want to be bad guys, but they kind of have to. It's who they are, really. It's kind of like the story about with the frog and the scorpion that he kind of mentions in the movie, and the fact when I first realized it, how the story was the scorpion tries to carry a frog over a pond or whatever, and the frog's afraid, and the scorpion's like, if I sting you, I would have done it by raining and all that. And then eventually, as they make it halfway, he ends up stinging the frog because it's in his nature to sting. And it's like that in the elevator scene, which I know some people were really odd about it. I was the first time I saw that, I was I actually understood it the first time. I just felt like it's a weird concept to go on, just have a beautiful kiss, and then literally just beat the crap out of someone. Watch all the blood. That was just a weird moment for me. But though the next time I watched it, I'm really it really expresses how it relates to the frog and the scorpion scene, and like, so I can see how those scenes connect. And really, Nicolas Winding Refn, you know, he's kind of like an artistic and brilliant director. He knows how to work the cinematography. Like the scene in the elevator, like that last shot of the elevator scene when it just shows the scorpion, how it really symbolizes the fact that he has now stung Irene, which I thought was actually very smart. I never realized that a movie can tell so much, can explain so much just through its cinematography before this movie. Like, I never really gave it much thought. I was just always looking for perfect shots and all that when I watch a movie like that. But I never knew that this cinematographer, I don't know his name, but I really want to meet this guy because he actually does some very good cinematography in this movie. That and Only God Forgives. But he really knows how to get the cinematography along to tell along with the story. And he's really just a smart dude. And this is like a new type of cinematography that I'm interested in. I mean, I like cinematographers like Roger Deakins, Conrad L. Hall, even though he's passed away. What's some other ones? I forgot. The guy that works with Steven Spielberg all the time. He did Saving Private Ryan. He pretty much did every Steven Spielberg movie, probably from Schindler's List on and so forth. I forgot his name. It's really confusing. It's like Wano's kind of, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a very good cinematographer. You know, just those types of cinematographers, they know how to capture shots and do it so well to the fact that it looks really beautiful. But though this guy, I love how, like I said before, I love how he uses the cinematography to help tell the story. And that is one way that helps boost this movie up by 1,000. You know, the characters were great, the story was great, the way this movie interacted was great. I really love this movie. You know, the more and more I watch this, the more and more I loved this movie, which is why it gets a 10. You know, it's just a fantastic movie. I know this is not a movie for everyone, obviously, because you're not going to watch this movie for an action movie or just a violent movie. You have to watch this movie for what it is, which is like a beautifully made story about a man who's trying to become the hero he wants to be. Did I say who wants to be? He wants to be. My bad. Thanks for watching my video. If you haven't seen my Only God Forgives video, click right here or on the link in the description below. And trying to think of something else. That's about it, pretty much. Just stay tuned for tomorrow when I review The Conjuring, Red 2, Turbo, and R.I.P.D. 4 movies in one weekend. But only some of them can be good. You know, I'm just saying that right now. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, tell all your friends, and keep subscribing and all that. Like, seriously, tell all your friends, you know. I mean, I'm not a bad guy. I mean, if they're into movies, you should show them this channel. Other than that, I'll see y'all tomorrow.